Had a flare-up of your osteoarthritis and not sure what to do? Then this video is for you. Hi there, my name's Luke from Genuine Physio and I help over 40s stay happy and healthy. I'm an advanced physiotherapy practitioner in the UK and I've helped thousands of people with joint pain manage their osteoarthritic flare-ups. And the first place to start is by normalising it a little bit. Now, unfortunately, flare-ups are a normal part of how the osteoarthritis process behaves. So if you see a spike in your symptoms, your pain, your swelling, your stiffness, then don't be alarmed, okay? Flare-ups will happen. It's really common for people to report having good periods and not so good periods. The key thing is for you to have the education and the advice that you need in order to manage a flare-up appropriately to make sure that it doesn't stop you getting back to the things that you enjoy and love. And that is what we're going to talk about in today's video. Now, there is no doubt that flare-ups are incredibly inconvenient, they can be very painful, and they can get in the way of what you like to do. But the most common mistake that I see people make is having a flare-up and then decreasing their activity levels so that they don't have another one. And this is a really inappropriate and negative long-term solution. Ultimately, all that will do is decrease your general health. It will decrease the conditioning that you have around said joint. So if we're talking about the knee, for example, your calf strength, your thigh strength is going to decrease, your balance might decrease. The big thing that nobody talks about is psychology. Your confidence is going to decrease, and actually long term it's only going to increase the risk of you having further flare-ups. Now, ultimately, pain and joint pain is pretty complex. There's lots of different factors that can affect it, and what you don't want to do is hone in on a very specific movement or activity, for example gardening, and use that as the thing that you feel correlated with your joint pain getting worse. Because ultimately, joint pain can be made worse by loads of other factors, psychological factors and environmental factors. We know that stress has a massive role to play, weight has a role to play, nutrition, hormones, how much sleep you get, how much exercise you do. Your mood is massive, so low mood, depression, family bereavement, other comorbidities. Even the weather. So if you're in the UK, then the weather, as we know, is not that predictable. We need to make sure that we are not attributing one tiny physical element that we are going to remove from our life as the thing that made things worse. Because fundamentally, it could have been a whole host of different things that caused this flare-up to occur in the first place. So quite simply, what we need to do is try and ride out the flare-up, which could last a number of weeks, and then gradually build back up to things that we enjoy and love. So what can we do to ride out the flare-up? You need a few things in your toolbox, if you like, that you can lean into when you have a not so good period. So it's worth having sort of 4 to 5 things that you can increase the utilization of when your joint pain is a bit worse. So pain relief is an option. It might be that you can take oral pain relief, maybe some anti-inflammatories if you're allowed to take them. It might be that you have a topical gel or rub that you can put over your affected joint. That rub could be anti-inflammatory, could be hot or cold depending on what you've tried and what works for you. It might be that you need to use some sort of splint. So if you have arthritis in your thumb, it might be worth having a splint in the jaw that you can get out when you need to, or a cheap brace from the local pharmacy for your knee pain that you can do the same. It might be that a walking aid could be a helpful idea for a short period of time, a walking stick or a crutch just to offload that painful joint. It might be that if you are already doing exercise, you need to avoid or reduce some of the harder exercise that are more strenuous and lean into some of the more easier exercises because you do want to keep things moving and mobile. In terms of cardiovascular exercise, if you're somebody that already does higher impact stuff, it might be that you need to do lower impact exercise. So if you run or you play sport or you go to the gym, it might be that you try swimming for a bit, or cycling on a static bike or cross trainer or a rowing machine. There are other options to try and reduce the stress on your joint. And the really important thing is for a short period of time. So this stuff is subject to change as and when your symptoms improve. It might be that you want to give heat or ice a go, again depending on what works for you and your symptoms. So once that has been done, firstly, hopefully that will give you the confidence to manage a flare-up in the future. We know that stress and confidence has a massive role to play in joint pain, and if you panic and you're really worried, that's likely to increase the length of the flare-up and also increase the pain. So having the knowledge that you know how to manage your joint pain independently at home if you have a flare-up is really important. Now the next stage is then building back up to the things that you enjoy. Like I said at the beginning, what you don't want to do is really focus on something physical like gardening or walking and then reduce that, particularly if you like it. What you need to do is regress it back to a level that your symptoms are happy with and then start building things back up again. Now this will depend on the length of time you've had your flare-up. So if you've had a flare-up for 4 weeks, you're likely to need to regress things slightly more than if you've had a flare-up for a week or a few days. But if you were to take walking, for example, it might be that you were quite happy walking for half an hour pre-flare-up. At the moment, you've had 3 weeks off and 15 minutes is about your maximum. That's fine. Don't panic. What we're going to do over the coming weeks is just gradually build things up again. It's going to be 15 minutes at the moment. Next week we're going to try 20 minutes, week after 25, and then over the period of a month you'll be back to walking for half an hour with minimal problems. So this is a much better way of managing a flare-up than avoiding things long term. Ultimately, that is a slippery slope of gradually doing less and less, which we know is not good for joint health. It's also not good for general health, and that is what we want to avoid. So to recap, flare-ups unfortunately are a normal part of how osteoarthritis presents. As much as it is frustrating, they are manageable and there are things that you can do at home to get things calmed down. The key thing that you will need to avoid is using that flare-up to decrease your activity levels long term. That is not going to be helpful for your joint. I hope you found that helpful. If you would like some more free help to manage your osteoarthritis, I do have a completely free osteoarthritis guidebook which you can find here. I've popped a link to that in the description below the video. There are also strength exercises and other types of exercises you can do for your joint pain on the Genuine Physio YouTube channel. If you have enjoyed today's video or found it helpful, please do like and subscribe. It means more people will see the content that you found helpful. And whilst you're doing that, I'll see you in the next one.